I'm the Sandman from 103 GBF.
There's a story on the internet right now that we were just discussing that we think could have a huge impact on broadcast journalism as we know it. And that's a story about Brian Williams, the anchor of NBC Nightly News, and his apology about getting the information wrong about a story he reported about his involvement in what I guess is tantamount to a firefight in the air.
Yeah, he was in a Chinook helicopter in Iraq, allegedly in 2003. Well, he was. That's a fact, we know. But what he had said in his report was that his helicopter got hit by an RPG. And now it's come out that that may not be the case, that his helicopter wasn't hit. Maybe one of the other three in the convoy was. But he has since apologized, and one of the things for me is that after all these years have passed, if he embellished the story, why didn't part of the crew that's with him, could you take a camera crew,
sure,
take a sound person along, probably a handler for somebody as big and famous as Brian Williams? Why didn't somebody from NBC or MSNBC come forward and say something?
And that's the issue. That's what we're asking here, especially those of us who spend our lives behind a microphone as well. We don't spend a lot of our time behind a camera, but we do a lot of reporting just like he does. We've all covered and talked about many different stories. Did he lie, or was he just mistaken?
Yeah, some people think he was mistaken because one of the helicopters was hit, and when that happens, other helicopters deploy like flashbang techniques to sort of confuse, because it's low altitude, to confuse the enemy that's on the ground. So his helicopter obviously rocked back and forth, and there was a lot of noise, and maybe he thought that they got hit. But then again, when they got on the ground, it should have been obvious to him that that wasn't the case.
There were 4 helicopters in line, and it was the first or second one that actually got hit with the RPG. And the pilot, who was actually in the helicopter that was with Brian Williams, did say all of the helicopters got hit by something, but only one was actually hit as a target.
Right.
And I just got to think that it's possible, when you think of everything that Brian Williams was reporting on and the amount of time that he spent over in the Middle East, the number of helicopters that he was on, the number of hot spots that he was in, is it possible that he just got the story wrong, and when he realized it, owned up to his mistake? But I'm with you. If this is such an issue, if he lied about this, and people are so outraged by it, why wasn't the helicopter pilot, when the story was first broke, why wasn't he the first one to say, no, that is not what happened?
Well, maybe they aren't allowed to comment on things like that publicly just because it was wartime and things like that. But I think, the stake here is his credibility. I mean, we all know that news anchors have to be credible. That's why you don't see, even on the local level, guys like Randy Moore and Brad Bird doing commercials for products. They don't do that kind of stuff, endorsements, because it hurts their credibility. So I think this is going to be the outcome for Brian Williams. I believe he will continue to work for NBC or MSNBC. I don't think he'll continue to anchor the nightly news at all. We know he's taken off a few days, but I would almost bet Lester Holt will take over.
And to his credit, the couple of days that he's taking off, his suspension is self-imposed.
Yes.
This is not something, at least as far as we know, this is not something that NBC imposed on him. This was a self-imposed suspension that will take him off the air. That being said, I will say in my personal opinion, I believe Brian Williams was just mistaken. He was involved in so many of those things. I don't think he deliberately lied. Anybody who's been watching him for any length of time, he certainly appears to be of the utmost, in terms of sincerity and credibility and honesty. He does not appear to be a journalist with an agenda or deceptive in any way, but I do agree with you. And I would even go one step further. Not only do I not believe he will continue to be the anchor of NBC Nightly News, I think he will be the one that will remove himself from the anchor position, just like he imposed the suspension.
And it'll be hard to say what he will continue to do after that, because once you blow your credibility, and we really haven't seen this happen on this scale ever in American news, somebody of this stature, and whether he embellished, whether he lied, whether he was confused, He got the story wrong. I agree with you. He owned up to it. He removed himself from the air, and I think that was the right move. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
I think credibility is all about what you're willing to admit to. If you make a mistake and you're willing to take responsibility for your mistake, that's credibility. Trying to pass the buck, point the finger and blame somebody else, that's when your credibility should come into question. But I really believe that in this case, his credibility can be defined, and he's done this before when they made a mistake on the air. He's the first one to say, hey, we made a mistake, we're sorry. Yeah. I think in this case, the fact that he was willing to own up to this speaks a lot to his credibility.
Let me own up to this. Why am I doing this video with you? You're always right anyway.
I didn't even, wow. That is the best compliment you have ever given. Thank you very much.
By the way, if you're watching this video right now, you can comment below as to what you think. You know, this is time sensitive, obviously, because in the next few days we'll see how relevant this will be. But in the meantime, you're welcome to comment below and see, what your opinion is too.
And you're welcome to see this video at WKDQ.com and on our YouTube channel as well at YouTube.com/WKDQ and YouTube.com/103
GBF Rocks.
Thanks for watching.